All right. We'll get back into college a little bit later. Wanted to bring up a Lions issue, and we didn't get a chance to really get into it yesterday. So now, look, a couple days have gone by. You've processed your emotions about the Eagle game. I think we're all on the same page. Lions still a good football team. They feel a little bit more like pretender to contender, but they have the ability to be a contender. So here's the question I wanted to ask. Dan Campbell had a lot to say yesterday. And a lot of it was, look, we're going to play to the strengths of the team. Or, we had a bad day at the office, etc. I wanted to ask this question is that, look, year over year, I think at this point, even the most Kool-Aid drinking Lion fan who thinks the world is perfect and nothing's wrong, you can at least identify the following. The O-line is not the same. You miss Ben Johnson. And a byproduct of that is the running game is not the same. And your third down conversions, you rank 27th in the NFL in third down conversion rate. 27th. Those things seemingly are a very fair place to start when I ask you this question. If you are not the same team you were, then aren't you required to play the game differently than you've played it? Meaning, no one is saying you do what Wisconsin did and you go from a power running attack to the air raid with Luke Fickell. Gotcha. What we're saying is we like aggression. We like fourth downs. We like the identity of the team. However, your defense is playing way above their head while you have people out. Your offense against any defense with a pulse has faltered. So my question would be this. There's what you want to do, and it's not necessarily always what you need to do. I want to know from you, the Lions fans, have you come to grips with the things I've talked about, which is you miss Ben Johnson. You don't want to say it, but you do. The O-line is not the superpower anymore, and the fallout from that is the running game, the amount that your quarterback is getting pressured and sacked, and your woeful third down percentage. But do you think Dan Campbell has to evolve, alter his approach? Because what you did the previous 2 years with those teams isn't really doable with this team. Or do you just keep pounding the desk and saying, this is who we are, YOLO? 248-539-9797. I just would like to know, because I think if you took a little bit more, and I'll even define it, one less fourth down a game, one more taking the points per game can have a seismic impact on what you get to do later in the game. I think a small change, Rico, and you rely upon Kelvin Shepard, who's been exceptional, and this defense. Mm-hmm. Every member of that offense should buy that defense a Rolex. Mm-hmm. Because those guys, dude, this offense against Kansas City, against Green Bay, against Minnesota, and against Philly, the offense has not held their end of the bargain. No. So what if you go beat the Giants to death with a baseball bat? The Giants defense is terrible.
That's just it, Mike. I think maybe you need even more than just a small increment. I think you got to stop going for it as many times. It's not to say that you have to quit, but right now is not the time or the place, because you're putting your defense in bad spots when you're not getting them against good teams, and they got to go out there and they got to play extra hard, and they're going to get worn down. Be smart, field position, kick field goals. You got Bates who can kick field goals, especially indoors. Use that as your advantage.
Can I ask another question?
Yeah.
From a personnel standpoint, do you need more David Montgomery? Not because Jameer's doing anything wrong, but a 225-pound hammer and taking a little more TOP, putting yourself in better positions for third downs, or maybe setting up a fourth down. I don't know, man. I'm just tinkering because I don't think Laporte is coming back.
No, I don't think he's coming back either, but I think because I really don't trust the interior of the O-line right now.
Do you trust him more running it or pass protecting? I know my answer. Right. I'll tell you, based on what we've seen.
No, running it, yes. But I like what I'm seeing with Gibbs in space. But here's the thing. You really want to mix things up? Because we were promised this at the beginning of the year. Remember, Morton said, I'm going to have schemes where I'm going to put both running backs in the backfield. Do that.
Well, he's been fired.
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
but
He's been quiet fired or whatever you call it.
Put both guys in there to give teams like, oh, okay, I don't know which way they're going to go with this, where you could almost do a play action to Montgomery and throw it out to Gibbs, or you could just hand the ball off to Gibbs and hammer the line.
Like, look at this is interesting when you, and again, I know things evolve, but look at David Montgomery's carries by game. And it's just interesting to look. Like, for instance, against Philly in a low-scoring, physical football game, David Montgomery had 6 carries. Now,
especially at the goal line, that was a big head scratch.
Like, I can separate the Washington game. It's a blowout, so he gets a few more. The Cincinnati game. But, like, the Kansas City game, David Montgomery, 4 carries. You know, the Minnesota game, 10 carries. 6 carries against the Eagles. 9 carries against Cleveland. Again, blowout. But, like, I almost wonder, look, the Baltimore game was his opus. He had 12 carries for 150 yards, including the longest run of his career, arguably. I'm just asking, there are minor things you can do. But I'm with you in that I wonder if you need to lean on the defense a little bit more, put the defense in better positions. Offense, you're not converting at a rate that this is still a smart decision. Let's just do it a little less.
Right.
A little less.
Or even if it's just, you know what, we're going for it once we get to the 40-yard line of our opponent. At that point, 4th down, yes. But anything before that, we're going to go ahead and either attempt a long field goal if it's indoors, because I do think that Bates can hit those, or we just punt the ball and use that all-pro punter you have and pin them in there.
I want to look at it at the other end as well. How about if I'm at the 13-yard line, if I'm at the 7-yard line, the 4th and goal from the 7 where they're going for it should now become a field goal.
Yes.
Why? You're pass pro. Why? You don't have Laporta. Why? Your 3rd down percentage, money down, is so bad. Look, I'll never tell this team 4th and 1 from the 1 to kick. I'm not going to do that. I understand who they are. Yeah. But I do think they need to reevaluate not what they've been, but what they are now.
But think about, what was it, 4th and goal from the 3 against the Eagles or something, and then they went back and passed the ball. It's like, what are you guys doing? Like, you're that close. That's just,
well, you had multiple cracks, and
you do your version of the tush push. You just, you know what, David, get in the game.
But that's my whole point, is they didn't give the ball to Montgomery. They tried to hammer the rock twice previous up the middle with Gibbs. It didn't work. There are small things. There's a quality control issue. Look, this is going to be something more longstanding. It is much easier to call plays when you're the head coach against a dead opponent like Washington, and you're up by a zillion. But then when you're in the trenches, I felt like in the game against Philadelphia, things got away from Dan Campbell, the CEO Dan Campbell, whether it was personnel groupings, whether it was decision-making, etc. Rico, do you realize they were going for it on 4th and 17 before Philly called a timeout? It had gotten away from them, but you were willing to do that, but you still punted the football with 5 minutes to go. What world does Dan Campbell think they're getting 2 stops in a 5-minute stretch?
Between that and the end of the half, when he said, I just needed to keep all my time. We just need to regroup at halftime.
So, again, we all think they're a good football team, but can we all agree they're a different team? And because of the factors we've brought up, if you aren't who you were, then you can't do what you've done. You got to alter your process. If you want to fight about it, we can. I just don't think it's that type of topic. So we'll get to the people next. Does that sound fair?
Sounds great.
Tell them about your basement.